Hi.
Well, me okay?
I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It looks like you got some goodies in the background.
I got a few goodies in the background, just a few.
A few. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm excited.
For sure. I'm excited too.
Can you tell I'm excited?
Only a little bit. It's
Okay.
not really, but I mean, I think I can feel
Okay. Okay. All right.
it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to talk about daddy issues, but before we dive deep into that, I want to introduce you to the world. And let people know this is Will Jones. Will is an aspiring artist located in the Houston, Texas area, but I do want to say that he's originally from Cleveland, Ohio, represent.
Yes, yes. What do we do in Cleveland? Is it Cleveland or I don't know what we do?
I,
216?
I don't
I
think
don't.
we do nothing.
I don't think we do that.
I don't think we
Well,
do nothing.
somebody tell me in the comments how to
Yeah,
do it,
somebody
and
tell
and
us in
we
the
do.
comments what we do in Cleveland. I don't know, but he representing Houston, Texas right now. So we just gonna go ahead and let him have that.
Yeah, I think they do this in Houston. The
Oh,
H.
oh,
H.
okay. Okay.
I'm
All
wrong
right. Well, I won't do that because I'm not in Houston. So I don't want nobody to get me. So
though.
listen, you got some art going on. Tell everybody that is in the comments how we can see your art.
So, every piece of artwork that you see is all mine. So I have an art Instagram page. It is underscore Earl EARL X. And via Instagram, that page, you can see all of my work, where it ranges from abstract to very much expression and some slight realism. So you will
Okay.
see some there. And I even got a few coasters. So
Nice.
please, how y'all do that? Like that? Something like that.
Something like that.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Some coasters, some keychains. So please, if you're looking for some personalized art where nobody else has in their home, hit me up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. Be on the lookout for some of his art to be in my background
For
real
sure.
soon.
For
Real
sure.
soon.
For
We're
sure.
gonna be some changing some things. We're gonna change some things around real soon. Real soon. So I wanted to talk to you. Of course, we know each other personally, but I wanted to talk to you about daddy issues. Like,
Yes, sure.
let's just dive into that. Let's have a discussion about that and see what we up against.
How about we have a discussion about it?
Okay, so
Okay.
let me start by saying that I looked up daddy issues on the internet.
Okay.
So the first thing that came up was the Urban Dictionary. We
Okay.
don't know how the Urban Dictionary is. So the Urban Dictionary said daddy issues are when a girl has a messed up relationship with her dad, and as a result, the girl may be attracted to older men or men with anger issues. Dictionary.com says daddy issues is an informal phrase for the psychological challenges resulting from an absent or abnormal relationship with one's father, often manifesting in a distrust of or sexual desire for men who act as father figures. I'm sorry, men who act as father figures. So I was kind of leaning more towards daddy issues from dictionary.com, um, only because it seemed as the other one made it seem like daddy issues are only something that women deal with.
Yeah. we can break that apart
Let's
and
do
say
this.
we can start there. So
Okay.
starting right there, off the rip, when you said girls and us coming into this conversation,
Hmm.
I'm thinking boys. You
Yep.
don't you of course when you have your own or whatever, you just like how you don't think about the other sex or of course it makes more sense man and male and the son having daddy issues, but you don't I guess for me, I didn't really think about the girl having daddy issues.
Right. 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 Yeah. Well, girls definitely have daddy issues. We
Yeah.
definitely have daddy issues. And what I know is that oftentimes, speaking from a woman's perspective, the daddy issues often carry over into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for a girl, daddy issues, sometimes she doesn't even realize she has daddy issues until she becomes an adult.
Yeah.
And she's trying to have relationships of her own, or have an intimate relationship of her own with a male, and then some of those daddy issues start to come out a little bit. And even before we even dive deeper into this, I just want
Mm-hmm.
all our viewers to know this is in no way, shape, form, or fashion to bash daddies. That's not what we're here to do. That's not what we're here to do. But we're really here to just have a discussion about it and kind of just bring to light the importance of having a father. We harp on that a lot, and we say we need dads in the home. We need dads in the home, and yes, having the dad in the home is important. But I also feel like it's just important to have my dad in my life, even if
Yeah.
he's not in the home with me because for whatever reason the relationship between mom and dad didn't work out. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact that he is easily accessible and I can put my hands on him, I can call him whenever I need him. He's
Right.
there, he's supporting all my sporting events or band, or he's at graduation and all that other kind of stuff. um Being able to call him whenever something is going wrong,
Right.
that's huge. That's
Mm-hmm.
huge. So why don't you tell us about like your experience from a male's perspective, like how you feel about.
Yeah, let's keep it G. I'm a victim. Or I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm a victim. Whoa.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm part of the crowd. I'll start at the moment I realized I had daddy issues. So growing up, I'm sure a lot of people, unfortunately, can um, relate. My father was not there in my life actively as much as I would have liked him to. Um, and of course, as a kid and growing up, I don't really notice that. You grow into what you know or to what
Right.
you have seen.
Right.
Growing up, I always had my aunt, I had my aunties, I had my grandmas, I had my cousins, and my siblings. So I was good. I mean, you only know what you know.
Yeah.
And so I would hear it every now and then, your father, your father, your father. And, how about your father? Have you talked to her? Do you miss her? And I'd be like, it's cool. I mean, I haven't seen him, so it's cool. And I'm like, I guess I miss him. I still love him. You talked to him recently? Yeah, I talked to him. Sure. Well, make sure you always raise respect him because that's your father. Okay, always, always.
So let's talk about
Right,
that for one quick
right,
second.
right, right.
So how does that make you feel when others tell you to still respect him because he's your father, even though he hasn't been around or hasn't been constant in your life? How does that make you feel?
Oh gosh, this is kind of difficult to answer because, I'm pretty. I think I'm accepting. I'm loving. I try to be. I try to always be respectful. I never understood, I guess, what people said. make sure you still respect them. I'd be
Hmm.
like, sure.
Right. Right.
But I suppose it could be a bit dismissive. Looking back on it, it could be a bit dismissive.
Mm,
But that's your day.
mm,
Oh, well, let's just chalk the fact that he missed this, that, and the other.
yeah.
Yeah, but he a daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm his son. I mean, with that.
Yeah.
So I would, of course, really hear just from the elderly.
Right.
Make sure you still respect them. That's your daddy. I know. And I guess what comes to the territory, how much respect do I give them?
Right. Right.
I thought I was doing that, so I
Right.
need to give him some more, even though I feel like he gave me none.
Hmm. That's good.
Yeah,
That's really good. So,
feel free to comment, y'all.
so yeah, please join into the conversation. So, with my dad, just to give a little background as well, my parents were married for 27 years, and they divorced when I was 14. Yeah, 14. I'm sorry, they separated when I was 14. The divorce was final by the
Okay,
time I was 16.
okay,
And so he was there for a long time. I was the youngest, I'm the youngest kid in my family, and he was there for a long time. However, he wasn't there.
right,
He
okay.
wasn't, he was physically present, but I guess
He was there
not.
but not present.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like there was no emotional connection. I never heard him say, I love you. So that was a big deal. Um, Really, we only heard from him when it was time to be chastised for something.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate using the word chastise because that's like old folks talk.
It is
But
old slang.
when it was time to get a spanking or something like that, when it was time for discipline, um, that's when we heard from him, and even that kind of started to wane off. Maybe because he felt like we were girls and our mother would handle it, which sometimes I was more scared of her than I was of him. But
So,
so maybe he felt at that moment he didn't have to do much. But I saw such a transformation because he would start to not be there more, not be present more. He started staying out all night, and then all
hmm,
night turned into 2 nights, and then all
yeah.
night turned into 3 nights, and then the next thing the lights was getting cut off, and then the gas was getting cut off, and mama cooking on a hot plate, and we getting dressed by candlelight, and she
Mm,
doing all these things to make do. So that was something that stuck with me even all these years later. Now I'm in my 40s, and that's something that I vividly remember. And I remember her trying to make it fun for us, you
trying
know
to remove the obvious that
yeah,
dad hasn't been present.
yeah, he hasn't been present. We're going to camp out in the living room tonight, but really we were camping out in the living room so we could create some body heat because it was cold.
Okay.
So which leads me into my next thought. How do you think your mom compensated for your dad's absence?
Um, I guess she just worked really, really hard to prove. Um, and to be honest, I don't like this day and age, 2022, in this generation, like moms are used to this. Moms are, I think we all know that it's nature that women are strong. Definitely a woman can do what a man does in
Right,
certain aspects.
right.
But mom's aunts were strong. Definitely worked a lot. I will say, I'm not sure if she did this because she needed to fulfill, but she worked a hell of a lot
Yeah, yeah.
to a point where I barely saw her.
Mm. So,
So she got to feel 4 feet for
mm,
two pairs of shoes.
yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. she had to work hard. She had to fulfill, and she did great. I mean,
Yeah,
unfortunately, she didn't have the ideal support.
yeah. So do you feel like that maybe that has some type of negative effect as well because she had to work so hard? So it was like, yeah, my dad is already not here, but now my mommy isn't here because he's not here. You know what I mean? She has to do
Maybe,
all this extra.
maybe in a sense of like a chain reaction down the line.
Okay,
I don't think it was too bad because there was a village. We definitely had a village.
for sure. Okay.
Mom worked hard. I want to say it like this, but she brought home some really good gifts, baby. She brought home some really good gifts. So I said, I'll see you later. But I mean, in hindsight, it would have been nicer to spend nights on the couch watching movies
Mhm, mhm,
more.
mhm.
So I could definitely see how it affected her in ways I didn't see. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. I think that my mom also tried to compensate for my dad's absence. However, with my mom, it was a little bit different because my mom she was on total disability, so she didn't work.
hmm,
And I mean, she had two teenage daughters to look after. I mean, I think that when my parents split, I was just going into high school. I think that my sister had probably just graduated and was, going to college or whatnot. So trying to support two teenage daughters on a fixed income,
right,
that was pretty rough.
for sure.
And my dad, he didn't, of course, there was no child support for my sister because she was too old at that point. But for me, I remember he ended up paying $50 a month for child support. Hear that, brothers? $50 a month. And by the time the child support order went forth, I was 16. So I was a junior in high school.
Baby, my daddy probably owe 50 lim, 50 lim time, 50 lim.
Yeah.
Can I at least be 50?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, so that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Having to pay only $50, and he did it so reluctantly. My father was self-employed, but he
mm,
did it so reluctantly. And I remember this one time. I remember being at the grocery store with my mom, and we saw my dad at the grocery store, and she said to him, "Go over there and ask him for some money."
wait,
And I said,
I'm about to say your mom, grandma asked you
right.
to, okay,
Yeah, told me to
bring
go
me,
and ask my dad for some money.
okay.
And
Yes,
I didn't
sir.
want to do it. I didn't want to do it. For a couple of reasons. I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be in the middle of whatever, argument they had going on. But then I also didn't want to do it because I felt like, why do I have to ask him for money? Like, he knows I'm here. He knows that I exist.
Yeah,
Like, why do I have to ask him to take care of me? You
yeah.
know? And I remember my mother got so frustrated with me. I think she called me a name, and then I think I said,
Hmm.
that's, whatever. But, later on she apologized to me or whatnot. And, now that I'm older, I understand her frustration. I understand how she could be frustrated with a situation like that,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he wasn't doing what was necessary to provide for me.
Hmm.
So, um, so what are your thoughts about how you react to your father on the occasion that you would see him? Like what is that feeling like?
Forced. It's so funny to talk about this now that I'm older and
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the age where I have the right words.
Mm-hmm.
Where then, as a kid, I had a sense of staying a child's place. I had a sense of not wanting to be disrespectful.
Right.
And growing up, I was raised by great people. I never wanted to be disrespectful, no matter how much I felt like he wasn't there.
Hmm.
But looking back, there was a sense of take a picture with your daddy. Like
That was that was your face.
it was,
That was your face.
yeah. It was. I mean, thank God we have those pictures. But it was just thinking back, it was forced. It was hopeful. It was
Yeah.
hopeful. Each and every time I see him, I'd be like, okay, this might be the actual chance. I would always still have that hope that okay, this might be the one.
Hmm.
But also back in my mind, and if it don't, it's still okay.
Hmm.
It's still okay. Um, that's pretty much it. I suppose just having the hope and just feeling like I gotta talk to him again about the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's work out again.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you sometimes now, at your big age, do you sometimes replay those conversations in your mind and just say, ugh, what happened to that?
No, because I think a part of me always wanted to stay respectful. I think I was a bit mature at my young age. I feel like I never wanted. I was scared to harbor anger.
Mm.
I suppose I
Wow.
didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be what I was looking at.
Ooh.
I didn't want to take it out on everybody else. I
Yes.
didn't think it was fair.
Yes.
I wanted to stay realistic. You know, the realism is he's here right now, and of course you want a relationship. Be open to what he has to say. Realism is also, there's a cycle
Yeah.
that happens. And he just might go back again to repeat that cycle.
Okay.
But I'm grateful. I'm glad that I was always in a headspace where I was receptive,
Hmm.
but I didn't want to be angry at him. I never wanted to be angry at him. And I
Okay.
guess that's also a part of daddy issues. I never wanted to be angry, but I was still angry.
Mm-hmm. But
I
that's
was,
real though. I think that's being
yeah,
real about how you feel. I just, I don't believe that any healing comes from being fake. I just don't
for
believe
sure,
that.
for sure.
I don't believe that. And I believe that I feel
Fakes are
like you
real.
can still be respectful, like you just mentioned. I feel like you can still be respectful, but still set those boundaries and just say, hey, we've had this conversation 175 times and you still aren't doing what I need you to do.
How about this? On the opposite end of being respectful, as the old folks say, respect your parents, and that's to your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I was always timid. I never wanted to say how I really felt and
Mm-hmm.
upset somebody. So it took me until I was 29
Mm-hmm.
to say something real that wasn't disrespectful.
Right, right, right. Because I feel like you can still get your point across and not be disrespectful.
Hmm.
Even though you might feel those cuss words on the tip of your tongue,
There,
like they
yo, mother.
be right there,
It,
but because you've been so hurt, yeah.
yeah,
So you do feel like that's what you want to do, but I feel like you could still get your point across and not be disrespectful. Now the flip side of that coin is, will they be able to receive and comprehend what it is that you're saying?
right, right.
So,
Um, it might not. I feel like he has received it, and maybe um coming out to my dad in my about my anger issues.
mhm,
I felt in a sense maybe it'll help him. I had to take myself out of it and think maybe it'll help him too.
mhm, mhm,
All we can do is do what's do what's best and keep it going. Now, to go back to my story, so like I told you, I never felt like I had daddy issues
Okay.
until one person told me, everybody see it but you.
Oh,
You know who that was, right?
no.
Your sister.
Okay, so since you spilled the beans, everybody, please know that this is my nephew, okay?
Sorry, I didn't know if I was supposed to do that, but
That's okay. So this is my nephew. So I know the story, but I think it's really good because we haven't had this in-depth conversation in a long time.
yeah,
So
it's
I think
it's
this is really good.
great
And I
combo.
could so see her saying that to you.
Yeah, she definitely said, yeah, everybody see it but you, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, excuse you.
Did you feel offended though
Oh,
when she said it?
yeah, a
Okay.
little, maybe not, maybe offended isn't the right word. Blown away,
Okay.
yeah, because I'm good. I'm respectful. Will I always had with a straight face too. I was respectful. Will I always had the intention of never disrespecting my father. Still, no one had to tell me that.
Right.
Um, and I thought I was good. I wanted to be perfect. Everyone see me as good. I was a good kid, so I wanted to keep that rep. And
Yeah.
and and to be honest within myself, mentally, I was good until one day I had a talk with my pastor.
Okay.
And we were talking about it, back and forth convo. I was like, no, I'm not mad. There are times where I wish that, he was there, and then, and maybe if this time he wasn't like this, and what about
Mhm.
that time? And I was like, oh,
Yeah. Like you had an out of body experience.
I said, oh, I see what this is. You kind of hurt me.
Oh.
I said, oh,
Oh.
maybe you got a point, maybe.
Yeah.
But I said, oh, okay. Okay, I can see where you coming from. Maybe I am mad then. Maybe he
Mm-hmm.
do need to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was my first encounter where I where I really agreed, where I seen it. It was like you said, it was an out of body experience. It was like
Yeah.
I sat out of myself and seen myself. Will, do you see yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that kind of going back to the aspect of forgiveness a little bit, that has a lot to do with it as well. Like for myself, my father passed away when I was 18. So I didn't have an opportunity to tell him how I feel for the sake
Mm-hmm.
of sounding disrespectful or being disrespectful. I didn't have an opportunity to tell him how I felt about, whatever had been done at that point. Still not realizing that I had daddy issues.
Yeah.
Still not realizing because it wasn't until I reached my 30s that I realized that this was a problem for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my 30s. So I feel like, going back to the area of forgiveness, it was hard to forgive someone that wasn't there for me to tell him how I felt. He
Hmm.
literally was not, like, I literally cannot tell you.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Where with your situation, you run into him periodically, or there's a periodic phone call where you might have that opportunity. Well, no, this person is deceased, and I can't tell them.
Right.
So, I was encouraged to write a letter, but that didn't do
Mm-hmm.
enough for me because I knew if I mailed it, it still wouldn't reach him.
You knew, yeah, yeah.
I knew that. I knew that. So I think the next best thing for me was to figure out in my mind and in my heart and in my soul what I needed to do to forgive him for myself so I
Mm-hmm.
could release that. I could release that anger.
So do you feel like you found something that makes you feel like you have let go some of that daddy issue trauma?
Yes. So
Okay.
funny story. Um, I think that I've just come to a point of forgiveness just this past Father's Day.
Okay.
Just this past Father's Day. I'm sorry, Father's Day 2021. I had just come to the point of forgiveness. And it was a rough Father's Day. I never had a rough Father's Day before. Never, ever,
Mm-hmm.
ever, ever. I've had a
Hmm.
rough Mother's Day because my mother, she's not here, and that was my girl. But
Right.
I never had a rough Father's Day because on the inside, I really didn't miss him because I was still angry. But this Father's Day 2021, I realized that I think I had a dream about him first. I think that was kind of how it started. Leading up to
Mm-hmm.
Father's Day, I had a dream about him. And, maybe there was a conversation in the dream. I really don't remember everything that happened, but there was a conversation in the dream. And I remember waking up the next morning and feeling what I like to call my dream emotions. Because
Mm-hmm.
I always say, like, if I felt hurt or scared or sad, I could feel those feelings in my dream.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I guess, you could say I felt my dream emotions. And then that was right around the time that a Netflix movie came out with Kevin Hart. I think the name of the movie was called Fatherhood or something like that.
Okay, I think so.
And I sat down after church and I turned it on and I had a conversation with myself and with Kevin. I said, listen, I'm going to watch this movie, but if you make me cry, I'm going to turn it off.
I'm gonna cut it off.
Yeah, but I was relying on Kevin Hart to make me laugh and not make me
Yeah.
cry. But the movie actually did make me cry.
Hmm.
But it was in conjunction with the dream that I had just had, in conjunction with it being Father's Day, in conjunction with realizing, like, wow, I miss my father.
Yeah.
I miss my father.
I realize the older I get, the more I'm more open.
Yeah.
I'm more or less traditional as, back in the 90s, those parents made you suppress those. So
Yes.
now we're in a non-denominational generation where there's like a free, you're able to feel how you feel,
Yes.
So now I'm open to those feelings. Now those feelings come out and I'm able to catch it and check it and be like, oh yeah, I see you right there. Yeah, yeah, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
So being in a relationship, I've definitely noticed it there when you are with somebody or not you, but I'm angry with them all the time for things that don't even matter. Yeah, I deserve to be loved like this.
Yeah, yeah.
By who? By who? Because I can't make you pay for what daddy didn't do.
Right, right. Right. That's a good point. And actually that was kind of like I was going to segue into that, how the daddy issues spill over into our adulthood. I am currently single.
I thought you were about to say I'm dating somebody. I'm about to be like,
no, I am currently single. But however, when I was dating, I can recall the last long-term relationship that I had, starting off that relationship, being excited about the relationship because I felt like that person gave me something that my father didn't.
mm-hmm.
That person affirmed me, so to speak. They made me feel important. They made me feel wanted. They made me feel loved. They made me feel like I was a priority. And those were all things that my father did not make me feel. And it was bad on my part because, this person that I was dating was the same age as me. And they set that bar. I had these expectations. And when they couldn't do that anymore, it was like,
Yep.
I suffered.
You just like my daddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I suffered. And I remember, trying to tell him years later about that. And I'm sure I was rambling and he probably couldn't, really comprehend what I was trying to say to him. But I do feel like that was part of the daddy issues that was spilling over into my relationship. But I started dating this person when I was like 16 years old. So at 16 years old, he was showing me things that I wanted my father to show me.
You was getting that love that you always been wanting.
Absolutely. the love I always wanted. My father never told me I was pretty. This person told me I was pretty. My father never said I love you. This person said I love you. But I mean, this person was my age. So in essence, they were a child too.
Yeah,
So I was expecting and pulling a lot from a child, and I didn't know if they needed that, if they got
yeah,
that from their father, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So, like we said, in the context of needing fathers from, that those daddy issues being for both the male and the female, I don't know if he needed that,
right.
but I always wanted to, get that from him. And like when the relationship started off that way, but when things started to shift, it was like a shock to my system. And,
Mm-hmm.
our relationship suffered because of that. You know what I mean? So those are the things that happen when those daddy issues spill into your adulthood. So what do you think you do? First of all, are you aware now when those daddy issues are creeping back up? And if you are, what do you do
Yeah.
to kind of combat them?
So, I, I'm a joker, so I make a lot of jokes like, oh, your daddy taking you out to eat, But they say there's always some truth in
Yeah,
gesture.
yeah,
So, I mean, I guess I always find a way to turn it into a joke. I have set in the forefront of my mind that there is forgiveness, that I've done. And forgiveness, as we know, it's for you.
yeah,
I don't at all want to harbor anything or hold anything. So if I do feel like something is creeping up, I just have a small conversation with myself. What are you
yeah,
feeling?
yeah.
Um, what are you seeing right now? What can you do differently? Is there anything that you can do? Um, that you can do differently that your father didn't do.
Yeah.
One question I had was, what are things that you recognize that your father did that you want to avoid doing now?
Yeah.
And that's inconsistency with any, family and friends. I want
Mm-hmm.
to, when you say something, I want to stick to my words.
Yeah. Oh,
Sticking to
yeah.
the word is definitely a huge deal.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, and I also want all of our viewers that are out
Hey,
there to
sexy
answer this
thing.
question as well.
Hey, Dereja.
Do you think that everyone has some form of daddy issues?
Hmm.
What do you think?
Hmm. Yes,
And why do you say yes?
because maybe I don't know. Maybe issue isn't the right word,
Oh,
but there's always I don't know. I always hear my friends who do does still have their father. Um, when my me and my daddy got into it, and there's still a dynamic of something going on if your father is there.
yeah.
So maybe it's not a bad thing. You're always
Mm-hmm.
gonna bump heads with whoever. But per se, maybe it's not an issue.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that, because I'm just going to be honest and say I am envious of this, but when I hear women, especially my age, say, "Oh well, I'm going to go and see my dad and hang out with my dad," or "My dad came over and he fixed the sink," or did this around the house, or "My dad fixed the car," or whatever the case may be, or "I was just on the phone with my dad." Do you find yourself feeling envious in any kind of way when you hear your peers or whatnot, your friends talk about their relationships with their dads?
For sure. Um, Bay has two dads. mama and daddy was married. Not
Gotcha.
anymore. And
Okay.
then mama got a new husband. You got two daddies, huh?
Right. Oh, you got two and I can't get
Oh,
one.
you hogging them. You taking all the daddies out.
You got all the daddies. You gonna take all the daddies?
Oh, but there's a sense of, oh, I wish my dad sent me, cars or taught me how to work on cars.
Oh yeah.
When I'm a man who drives a car and my tire gets messed up, I take it to the shop.
Yeah.
I'll be feeling like, how that make me look?
Yeah.
I'll be nervous. It makes me a tad insecure. Ooh,
Yeah.
it makes me a tad insecure as a man
Mm.
when I feel like there are manly things
That you don't know how to do
that
because he
I don't
didn't
know
teach
how to
you.
do. Yeah, I feel like tire changing should be simple manly duties,
Wow.
but I don't know how to do those. So when those things pop up, I'll be like, oh shit, do I look look like a punk?
Wow. That's pretty deep. That's pretty
Yeah,
deep.
and I never thought about that until there's always somebody in my circle who would be like, yeah, my dad this, my dad that. And I'll be like, oh, that's good. And honestly, it's definitely great. I don't.
Yeah.
That's dope. It just it's just I always go back to a pocket in my brain that'd be like, yeah, wish mine could do
Yeah.
that.
And then don't you feel some kind of way when there's something that comes up that he know how to do
Yeah,
and he didn't teach you how to do it? Yeah. 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 Let me
yeah.
tell you. My daddy was a carpenter and could fix anything. Like my daddy could build a whole house and I am frantic about putting a nail in a wall because I don't know how to find the stud sometimes, like I remember as a kid playing with my dad's stud finder
Yeah.
thingamabobbity dooby. I don't even know what you call it. But in my own house, no, I wouldn't do that. I'll probably ask somebody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. It's one of those things. It becomes I just wish my dad was there to teach me how to do simple things like change
Yeah.
a tire.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see the comment from Beyonce about hearing that single moms say our mom and dad, and that was another question that I
I
wanted
don't
to
like hearing
ask,
single moms
and
say,
um,
and
I would like to hear everybody else's view on this. But do you really think the mom can be both the mom and the dad? Do you think
thank
that
you, man.
a mom can teach her son how to be a man? What do you think?
Can somebody else answer that?
Please.
Uh,
It's all a
I
matter of opinion here. We just having a discussion.
I don't think so because it's not something that a woman should have to learn about. So many things we go through naturally. Um, in a woman, she has her own things to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she, I guess, learns that. And so when it like changing a tire, you looking for
Yeah.
your dad to change your tire, your man
Yeah.
to change your tire. So how am I gonna come to you?
Yeah. 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 What I feel about that, of course, I'm not a mother of a son, but I feel that a mom can tell and teach her son just based on what she knows.
Hmm.
But it's still not the same as having a dad there to take him underneath his wing, to teach him those manly things, to guide him, to say, hey, we live in, a world where there's gangs, there's drugs, there's guns, there's this, there's that. you know, there's temptations, there's, you know, girls trying to get you caught up, there's, you know, sports, there's,
To teach
you
me
know,
about girls.
yeah, like, right, you know, so I just really feel like, you know, and especially now in a world where it's like, if your son is an athlete, he's automatically popular, so you know that the girls will automatically flock to him. And a mother can say to
Ooh.
her son all day long, like, don't be messing with them little fast tail girls, because you know that's how we like to say them little fast tail girls. But to have a father there to say, hey, son, this is what it really is.
Yeah.
This is why
Yeah.
you got to keep your pieces parts together, because this is what this little girl might do. And this is how it'll mess up your whole career as an athlete. Or, you know, even having a dad say to a daughter, hey, I know what these boys will say to you to get you to do what they want you to do. Been there, done that, because I was a boy too. You know, and I think that she's probably more inclined to listen to him from that viewpoint, where a mom, you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
just seemed like it's just a little bit different. You know, no disrespect to moms, because we are bomb, but
For sure. For
it's just,
sure. For sure.
just having that male presence. And I think even having that male presence to say, I'm going to take this boy home and let my daddy size him up, because if my daddy say he ain't the one, oh, we done.
Like that scene in Bad Boys where when Martin's daughter bring home the date. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you know the scene that well. I'm sure everybody else know where she bring home the date and Will Smith come out acting drunk and he be like, "Who is you?" With the
Mm-hmm.
gun in his hand. What you gonna do with my niece?
Right.
If you don't bring her
Right.
back, it's gonna be bang bang.
Yeah. What are
That
your intentions? What are your intentions?
necessary. It's
Yeah.
necessary to have that figure there.
Yeah, and I never had that experience with my dad. First of all, I was scared to bring any boys around my dad. Let's start right there. But I never had that experience, even, you know, growing up, because like I said, he was, you know, 18 when I was 18 when he passed away. So I didn't have that experience, you know, to be able to say, oh, hey, dad, this is, you know, such and such, you know,
Yeah,
and have him, you know, get to know that person, or to even be able to say, well, you got to meet my dad
yeah, yeah.
and we'll go from there, you know. So I think that that's a big deal as well. I think that's a huge, huge, huge deal. Huge deal.
One last question for me. Have you ever met anybody who you felt like daddy issue alert,
Met someone, ooh,
who you could see you
off
could
the
see
rip.
their daddy issues? Yeah.
Um, what I can recall is meeting someone that had their dad, and to me, the daddy issue was he spoiled them to pieces, that no one else could meet their dad's standards.
Oh, that's a good way
So
of
she,
that's a different way.
yeah, so she would compare the guy or whatever to her dad. If he
Mm,
didn't, then yeah, it was a hard no. So,
wow.
and I mean, I guess, I don't know, like you said earlier, I don't know if you want to actually call that an issue, because I feel like as women, we do need to have standards. I do feel that way. And maybe the standards don't necessarily have to be your dad. But, you know, more often than not,
Right.
they always say, well, girls tend to go after guys that are like their dads. I kind of believe that to a degree, to a degree. But I know that there are some girls that are like, well, my dad did this, that, and the other, and my parents been married for, you know, 50 years, and, you know, my dad does everything, and he takes care of the family, and he takes care of the house, and my mother don't have to worry about nothing, and that's the kind of man I want, like my dad. So
Woo,
I don't know.
that's a little scary.
I don't know.
That's a
I
little
don't know.
scary.
But in all honesty, I don't know how many more dads there are out there like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I know there are some, but I just don't know how many are out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so
There's
yeah,
some good ones
so
out there.
yeah, so daddy issues. So I think that the most important thing as we, kind of wrap up this conversation is to just be able to say, now that we recognize we have daddy issues, what do we do to combat them? What do we do to move forward in life? And what do we do to make sure that those daddy issues stay at bay when we are dealing and communicating with other people? How do we keep those at bay when we are cultivating new intimate relationships? How do we keep those at bay so, we don't end up somewhere on some kind of medicine or something like
Yeah,
that,
okay.
some medication. But, I think that if someone asked me that question, I would definitely say one of the ways to keep that at bay is to definitely pray. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, definitely pray. And two, if you have the opportunity to tell your father how you feel, I would say do it. Again, I
For
don't
sure.
believe that you have to be disrespectful in order to get that point across. I think that you can have that conversation, and be able to express yourself without it coming off disrespectful. But also know that when you're having that conversation, you're not having it so you can focus so much on their reaction, because sometimes waiting on their reaction will kind of negate what you're trying to do, because the healing is for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and three, if you feel like you need to get you some therapy, go ahead,
Go.
boy or girl.
Word of the day, word of the decade.
Word of
Therapy.
the day. There's nothing wrong
Therapy.
with it, especially my Black people, because we don't want to do therapy. But if you feel like therapy is something that you need, I highly, highly recommend it. So,
I agree. To throw mine in there, one, accept it. Like, accept that you may have something that you need to get off your chest,
yes,
and
yes,
that's okay.
yes.
Talk to somebody about it, get some therapy, and pray about it.
Yeah. And I feel like I really want to hone in on the fact that we can't focus so much on what their response will be. If we're going to that parent and saying, this is how I'm feeling, and, we're waiting on them to have a certain reaction, they may not. First of all, they may not even know how to respond to that, because
Yeah,
however they parented you may have been how they were parented. I hope I'm
yeah,
using the right phraseology
for
there.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes it's generational.
And we
Sometimes,
forget too that um, our parents are people.
yeah,
Were once us. Like, what we don't
right,
know, but like what they don't know. There's no manual, as I've heard
right,
my family once say.
right.
There's no manual, so they're learning, and you have to do what you're gonna do. At the end of
Yeah,
the day, life is every man for
abs-
himself.
absolutely. And parents do make a mistake. I mean, I am a parent, and I can remember, and I think that I said this to my kid before. I said, "Oh, when you were little, you saw no wrong in me." But as she grew up, she was able to kind of speak for herself, and speak up about how she felt. And it did make me look at myself like, ooh, that wasn't good.
Yeah,
But again, to your point, we are still people, we are still human, and there's no manual on how to be a parent nonetheless.
yeah,
Not giving those daddy issues a pass, but we're just saying that we got to try to figure out a way to work through them and maneuver through them so we can have the best quality of life as possible.
for sure.
Yes. So, Will, I am super excited. I enjoyed this conversation. This was good. Thank you to everybody that joined in. Will, tell us again how we can see your artwork.
You can see it right here, but you can also see it at my art page. You go to at symbol underscore Earl X. That's at symbol underscore EARLX. And view all of my different kinds of art, from abstract to expression.
Okay. And if they want to make any purchases, they would just need to. DM
Hit
you?
me up, yes. Hit me up via DM. The email should be on there as well. Um, and you can't see me. Can't you see? Oh, can't you see? Yes, they see. Thank you. Yeah, hit me up via DM. Email should be on there as well. So just hit me up directly, and we'll go from there.
Okay, perfect, 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 perfect. I really appreciate you doing this with your auntie since you let the cat out the bag that I am your auntie. But I again want to thank everyone that was able to join us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this
Thank
discussion. I hope you
you.
were able to get something out of this discussion that you can take with you after you log off. This is It's Worth a Discussion. Don't forget to continue to follow us on Instagram. Tell somebody else to follow us on Instagram. We want to see you all because we'll be doing more lives. Follow us on Instagram at IWAD Talk. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe at It's Worth a Discussion. Subscribe, comment, like, turn on those notifications so you will
Interact.
know every time we upload a new video. And until the next time we talk, peace.